Hey, subscribe to my channel. I love you.
Card D Kaizoku.
This video is brought to you by Adakai TCG. Shop the latest in premium holographic textured custom One Piece cards. Designed for collectors, crafted to stand out. Use code CARDKaizoku for 15% off your next order. This video is sponsored by GumGum.gg. Discover Western OP10 lists and Eastern OP11 lists on GumGum.gg. Updated daily. Be the first to see decks for new leaders as they emerge. With over 1,000 deck lists per set, GumGum.gg has all the top strategies as soon as they drop. This video is sponsored by Card Market, Europe's largest online marketplace for trading card games. Alright, in this video, I thought it would be fun to use my tier list maker. You can access this at my deck builder, deckbuilder.cardkaizoku.com, to rank all the secret rares from every set that has been released so far. Even OP11, even though I don't have too much experience with it, let's try to, I don't know, objectively rank it too. And yeah, if this does well, if this is a fun thing to do, I'll just maybe do all the SRs. That'd be like 10 times the size of this list, but I don't know, we'll see. Right, trying something new here. So yeah, let's just jump right into things. So yeah, I have it from S to F. I'm gonna keep the criteria kind of loose, just based on how I feel about the card. I'm gonna judge it on how useful the card is in a vacuum, which number of competitive decks that they're used in, if they're like exclusive to one type of leader or if they're like generic, how good they were over the history of the game, right? So not just in the current state, but also when they were released. And then a little bit biased to just how I feel about the card in general, if I've used it a lot or not, right? There's going to be some inherent bias in that. But yeah, let's just jump into things. We'll go in order. I said jump into things twice. So let's do it a third time. Let's jump into it a third time. So first up is Mr. 2 Bonclay Bentham, EB01. Alphabetically, this is the first set in my deck builder. So yeah, he ramps for 4 Dawn, and then he copies the power of another character on board when you attack. Really easy to swing into him to kill him afterwards, but the turn that you play him, he's useful. Then turn after that he lives and you attack with him, he's useful. So because of that, this guy was running a lot of purple decks. Any purple deck that wants to ramp, basically. Let's take a look at all the purple leaders, why don't we? Just to help illustrate that. So all purple leaders, so Purple Luffy definitely ran him, and then Red Purple Law ran him, and then Red Purple Luffy ran him. These are the only meta decks that I remember. Does Nico Robin run him? No, since she can ramp from her leader ability, maybe she doesn't. Kid probably runs him, but for sure the Luffys and the Laws run him, right? And he was like a super menace in this deck, so much so that this leader got banned because yeah, when there's too many good 4-drops in red and purple, it made this leader in particular a problem. So because of that, I think I'll have to put him in S, right? He's generic enough to be used in any purple deck, and then in and of himself, it's a strong generic card that isn't really locked to any particular type of leader. Okay, up next is EB02, Purple Luffy, another Luffy card here. There's a lot of Luffy cards on this list, I think. There's 3, I think, from what I see. 4. But yeah, this guy is not coming out for another month, right? EB02 comes out in a month for us, but from what I've seen in the East and from my limited experience playing EB02, this guy is really only good in Green Purple Luffy, right? This leader here. Because this leader gives him the 2 Dawn to return to attack again. Here, we'll just go over what he does. So he has Rush if your leader is multicolored and your opponent is at 5 or more Dawn. When you're at 6 Dawn, your opponent will most likely be at 5 or more Dawn unless they're like a Reiju. But yeah, when you're attacking once per turn, if you return 2 of your active Dawn back to your Dawn deck and then you take the top life card to your hand. Well, that's not a requirement for the restand, but you can restand, and then at that point, if you do have life to take, you take the life. So it allowed like explosive finishing power from Green Purple Luffy, who has access to a lot of extra Dawn that isn't apparent on board just because of his leader ability, and then the Sanji and Pudding's giving you Dawn back. But I think even without using the when attacking, just a 6 cost 7k rush attacker is great. You just have the option to use him as a finisher. But as we said, it's only usable in a Green Purple Luffy deck. I haven't seen any other decks utilize him, just because having that 2 Dawn to return is kind of steep, right? I'm trying to look. Could any other deck use it? No, none of these other leaders give you 2 Dawn back to use for the restand. So because of that, even though it's a top meta card for sure, since it's like so limited in usability, I have to put it in A, right? Green Purple Luffy is an S tier deck, but just the fact that it's only usable in that deck. Okay, going back to OP01, back then, Shanks 9 cost Shanks, 10k power. He's a rush attacker on a really big stat line body, and then when attacking your opponent can activate blockers if it is a character with 2000 power or less. So back then, I think probably like, let's just see how many blockers in OP01 had 2000 power. OP01, 1000 and 2000 power, and then blocker. So it prevented these 4. These 4 blockers couldn't block. What about anything else? So every other power blocker would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Subs 3 of the 12 blockers here in OP01. So yeah, I don't think he was used for the bypassing blocker part, but I do remember he was used in Starter Deck 1 Luffy, right? He wasn't used too much in Zoro, but in Starter Deck 1 Luffy, this guy here, he was the counter to like Green Kid, right? Because Green Kid could get around Zoro's whiteboard pretty easily, but a rush body kind of aggro playstyle in a tall package was hard for him to deal with. But past that, I don't remember him being used in any other deck. Because once OP02 rolled around, Whitebeard didn't run him, Ace didn't run him in OP03, and then I don't think I saw him again. Red Purple Luffy didn't run him either. So because of that, I mean, if you think about back in OP01 days, he was like a top meta card because there was only like 3 top meta decks back then. But the fact that the history of it since then, he hasn't been having too great of a showing, might put him in B, which is kind of unfair because like EB02 is the most recent set, and we put this highly for the same reason. But the thing is, Green Purple Luffy in OP11 is still a top meta deck. Meanwhile, Starter Deck 1 Luffy in OP02 just disappeared because Whitebeard kind of like became best deck in format. So yeah, I like B for Shanks here. Up next is Yamato. So Yamato never really saw play even in OP01. Right, Kid did not run it. The Odin deck did not run it. Kinemon in OP02 also didn't run it. Let's just take a look at all the green leaders. Right, these decks did not run it. Law could run it, but I don't think he did. And then Kinemon was more concerned about the Yamato that can rest a character and then playing the ACOS Odin for cheap. And I think it's not until like not even this Yamato really ran it. It was not until Red Green Odin, this Odin, where some people did run the Yamato. It was still only like a 1 or 2 of. Right, if I remember correctly, no decks really run it. But it is a pretty scary card. It has double attack and banish, so if this Yamato does deal damage to you, you lose 2 cards from your life. It doesn't go to your hand. It's just that as a 5 cost body, 5k is really low attack, and then without any evasion, it's really easy to deal with it. So we'll put that in C, right? It's not unplayable, but it's just kind of lackluster. It was never really like prominent in the meta. Okay, up next is OP02, this Uta, this Purple Uta, 8 cost 8k power. On play, Dawn -2. Your whole board gets plus 1000 power until the start of your next turn, even your leader. Sounds like it would be a good effect, right? It makes all your characters have an extra 1k counter and your leader too, but in practicality, playing this out doesn't really do you much, right? It's not a comeback card at all, and then if you're already ahead, I think any of the other purple cards, like Starter Deck 4 Kaido, would be better. So this is definitely a win more card, and even as a win more card, it's like barely win more, right? Because at the time, OP02 purple wasn't really a flood deck, so you can't even get like a wide board to get advantage of the plus 1k power. And then Dawn -2 back then was pretty steep. We didn't have a lot of purple effects that like return Dawn back to you when you Dawn minus, right? We didn't have like the puddings or the kid blockers that just gave you Dawn back. And our ramp options were really like limited too. So yeah, this Uta was kind of F tier, right? I don't think it ever saw play in any deck. Now, Kuzan, 10 cost Kuzan, this guy did see play. So he's 10k power. On your turn, all your opponent's characters get -5 costs to their cost. I don't know how I read it that way, but yeah, on play, key out to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 0. Right, so any 5 drop on the turn you play him, you can pop. Sure, you could combo with cost reduction, but since he costs 10 Dawn, you can't really fit any other cost reduction into the turn, besides stuff you already have out on board. So this comboed really well with cards like his 4 cost version, of course, right? That extra -4 cost means that he can KO a 9 cost, up to a 9 cost on play. Zephyr used them really well. Giving the entire board -5 cost means that he can KO up to an 8 cost with his leader ability. And this is something you kind of needed to win with this deck. It made Zephyr kind of like a sleeper rogue deck for a bit, only for like, I think it was like OP02, OP03, but then after that, this guy just fell off the face of the earth. And then since then, what other leaders have used them? Smoker can run them, but I think Smoker has a lot better options nowadays. It might even be a good option for Kairos, but maybe a little too slow. I think currently some people run it in their OP07 Lucci deck as like their top end. I personally don't like it, but I've seen those lists go for more of like a heavily set up and hope your board remains on board to set up. Right? I kind of prefer more like answer with whatever I have in my hand instead of relying on stuff to stick on board to answer their board the turns after, if that made sense. Anything else on here? I don't think so. Right, but with Gecko Moria gone, this is like a replacement that can be run, but I've only really seen it in Lucci. And then back when he was released in OP02, yeah, he was like the premier top end for Black, because this was the first set that Black released. What was the leader? It was Smoker, right? But Smoker didn't really see play. I kind of want to put it in B tier with Shanks, right? It's usable, it's good, just it's not too relevant in the meta. Up next is Sogeking, so 7 cost 6k power. This is OP03 here. So this card is treated as Usopp, and then on play, return up to 1 character with a cost of 6 or less to the owner's hand, and then draw 2 cards and trash 2 cards. So I remember him being used quite often in blue, way back. Let's try to remember which leader. So definitely not Doflamingo or Kaido or any of these. I think it was used in the Vankov pretty extensively. And then Nami too, right? It mills you 2 cards. Then past that, I don't think we saw play anymore. I think, was it used in Rebecca? I feel like it was. Rebecca and Queen. So it was up until this point, and then Sakazuki came out and then blew like turbo charged into meta viability, and then I think Sogeking was just too slow after that. So at the time, yeah, it was used. It was like the premier blue card, right? Up until OP04 at least. But since then has fallen in usage. So it survived at least 2 sets. Would that put him in A? Or put him in B? I feel like A, I don't know. Maybe I'm a Usopp hater, but I don't want to put him in A. Okay, up next is Katakuri. A cost Katakuri from the same set. Now this guy, I don't know, it might be a foregone conclusion, but A cost 8k power. On play, put up to 1 character with a cost of 8 or less on top or bottom of its owner's life area face up. So this can target you or your opponent's characters. This makes it really flexible. You can use it on yourself to heal, or you can use it on your opponent to put like a non-counter card in their life, just to make a threat out of the way. And then since it has no counter, when you're going for lethal swings, if they draw into it from their life, they can't use it for anything. Even if they get it back into their hand and then they survive, if it's like a card that doesn't really save them from anything, it's just like a useless card that you put back into the hand. And yeah, if I remember correctly, he was used pretty extensively in yellow. This is also his like premier set for the color. So yeah, I remember Linlin ran it. I remember Katakuri ran it for sure. Queen needs it, right? Queen's leader ability works perfectly with Katakuri. Anil runs it. I think even Arlong runs it as a top end, if I remember correctly, way back. Other than that, I think he kind of stopped seeing viability once like OP06, OP07 came around. But Enel still stuck around as a meta deck, for sure, right? Up until even now, I think. Right before Kingdom Come got banned, Enel was still like a fringe counter to some decks. So because of that, yeah, I think Ika's Katakuri obviously deserves to be an S tier here. Up next is Vivi from OP04. 7 cost 4k power, 1k counter. All your red characters with a cost of 3 or more other than this character gain rush. So I wasn't entirely sure what this was for. There was a Vivi leader, right? This one here, it couldn't attack, so having that character out means that it makes up for your leader not being able to attack if all your characters can attack the turn that they're played. The thing is, Vivi is 4k power, and at the time, I think like Marco was really strong, right? OP03 Marco comboed with the Gordon can pop Vivi really easily. I think Zoro was like the top deck at this time, running the Mountain Bandits package plus this Marco. And even Whitebeard ran this Marco too, so that made it really hard to play this Vivi. But I think when she released, she didn't see any play, but there's like a really niche like cheeky combo you can do with this Zoro here from Starter Deck 21. Right, when he dies, you can play a 6k power red character or less from your hand, which is a way to develop this Vivi, and hopefully it'll survive. And then after that, like any card that you play will have rush, so you can even play like stuff like Ben Beckman, pop a 6k and then attack with them for 7k the turn that you play them. But yeah, other than that, we don't really see Vivi used for anything really, never a meta viable card. It's just so expensive for like an activator for a certain playstyle in the deck, so might be an F tier, to be honest. Okay, up next is 8 cost Rosinante, 8k power. On your opponent's turn, if this character is rested, your active characters with an original cost of 5 cannot be KO'd by effects, and then on play you can rest this character and play up to 1 green character with the cost of 5 from your hand. And that's exactly 5, not less than 5. So this was used in Bonnie, if I remember correctly. I'm gonna have to say that for every leader, if I remember it correctly. That gives me the out in case I don't remember it correctly. So this Bonnie ran it because you can cheat out. There's a lot of good 5 cost green cards. In fact, let's look at that first. So green and 5. Right, you had X-Drake in the Supernova package. You have this Cavendish. What else can you do? You have Bonnie that can freeze something. You have Carrot that can also freeze. All the Odyssey type cards are free targets for this as well. It even cheats out a Smoker that you can protect the Smoker. So yeah, maybe instead of playing Smoker into Tashigi, you could just 8 cost Rosinante into Smoker. Right, why don't I see that as often anymore? I guess on your 8 down turn, you'd rather play Kid, but I don't know. I feel like this is pretty valid too. But yeah, going back to the green leaders though. Was it only Bonnie that utilized them really well? You could run it in Carrot too, and then honestly, you could run it in Lim, but I don't see Lims run it. That's about it, right? Or did Perona run it too? That's all I can remember. But yeah, it never made the deck like a top meta deck. It was just kind of tech against Lucci, because you can protect your 5-drop, and then Rosinante being an 8-drop makes it harder for Lucci to KO it. But might be a B tier. It feels similar to Sogeking. Right, it didn't make or break Bonnie, but it was a nice tech option. Up next is Kaido, OP05. 10 cost, 12k power. On play, if your opponent has 3 or less life, draw 4 cards. So I don't really remember any decks utilizing it too well. I know like some Doflamingo players ran it. It was run in Sakazuki though, right? As like a tech option against the mirror, right? If you're the Sakazuki with the Kaido and your opponent doesn't have Kaido, you get to a point where you kind of stalemate, and then when you drop your Kaido, you refill your hand, and then from that point on, you have so much more advantage that your opponent can't claw the way back. And Sakazuki was best deck in format, so it's a card used in the best deck in format as a tech option. Other than that, it's like a niche usage card. Let's take a look at the blue leaders to jog our memory. It's not used in Queen because you don't have access to Dawn for your leader. I don't think it's used in Boa just because the other 10 drop Kaido can bounce stuff. It might have been used in Rebecca actually. And then future leaders, I don't think it's used for anything. This guy's not even out yet. Yeah, it's just Doflamingo and then Sakazuki. Is that correct? Did Ivankov run it? I don't remember. But the fact that Sakazuki ran it, that's what's like compelling me to put it higher. Put it in B. It's tech option, right? Into the mirror. Okay, up next is OP05, Monkey D. Luffy, 10 cost, 12k power. On play, if you Dawn -10, place all characters other than this character at the bottom of your deck in any order. Then after this turn, take another turn. Activate main once per turn. If you pay a Dawn, you can ramp a Dawn as active. So this was a pretty neat finishing tool. And then we'll look at purple. I do think when the set released, this purple Luffy did run it as like a finisher. This purple black Luffy can run it pretty well too because you get a lot of Dawn back after you Dawn -10. Who else? Red purple Luffy ran it to a pretty good degree for the same reasons that purple black Luffy can run it. You get extra Dawn back when you're at 0 Dawn. Other than that, who else would run it? I think that's about it. But yeah, red purple Luffy and purple Luffy are meta decks though. And then the one like cool thing with it I remember was that it can like bypass black yellow Luffy's playstyle, because yeah, black yellow Luffy will play Gecko Morio, bring back 2 of the little babies, make himself a 9k. If you play that Luffy and you get the extra turn, that 4k buff actually goes away on your second turn. So that allowed you to like go for lethal swings when your opponent isn't 9k base leader. So because of that, right, it's staple in red purple Luffy and black purple Luffy, and it's a tech option in purple Luffy. Put that in A? I don't know, it might just be like Luffy build, Luffy biased. Okay, up next is 9 cost Zoro. OP06, 9 cost, 9k power. When attacking once per turn, pay a Dawn. Set this character as active, then you can activate main, pay 2 Dawn and set this character as active. So essentially you can attack 3 times in a turn. This is a staple card in Lim. Who else runs it? I think at some point people ran it in Bonnie, but they realized there was a win more card in this deck. People run it in Yamato too, but they realized there was a win more card in this deck. Yeah, it's really only Lim that runs it, now that I look at this. I think Uta's ran it at some point too, but they cut that out. They have a full film package they can run now. But in Lim, it's pretty devastating because you can ramp to this on your like 4th turn. But Lim is like not top meta, but meta right now for sure. But since it's only one deck and she's not even like best deck in format, I think it deserves to be in B at the very least. So up next is Sanji, the counterpart in OP06, 9 cost, 9k power. On play, reveal top card of your deck. You can put it into play if it's a 9 cost or less, other than another Sanji, and then place the remaining cards on the bottom of your deck in any order. But it's only one card, so there's no order. So yeah, Sanji, when he first released, I don't think he saw too much play. It wasn't until freaking Marco came out that we saw Sanji get a lot of usage. I think people ran it in Queen before Marco release, but it was not as reliable, right? Because you needed Dawn to rearrange the top of your deck 5 deep so that you can do something like a turn later, because you need Dawn for your Queen too, on top of playing that rearranger. But yeah, when Marco came out, it's like a match made in heaven, because 1 Dawn to rearrange your top deck, and then Sanji just plays whatever you put back with his leader ability out. And even more so right now with blue purple Luffy, he can basically set the top deck every turn once you're at 8 Dawn or more, right? Because you take a card to your hand and then you can either put the remaining 4 cards back on the top of your deck or put it on the bottom. So you'll always have whatever you're going to cheat out with the Sanji ready. So you're always playing like 2 big bodies with this Luffy deck. And I do believe those are the only 2 decks at the moment that runs it. I think this Starter Deck 22, Ace and Newgate can run it pretty well too, because you can also set the top deck with his leader ability, or their leader ability is 2 people. So because of that, yeah, I think Sanji now is a A tier card. Maybe not so much before blue purple Luffy came out, but definitely now with that deck out, being like the best deck in the format. Would that put him in S then, actually? No, it's not generic enough, right? Like, it's just these 2, Marco and Luffy, and Marco's not even top meta, right? So I think A tier makes more sense. I don't know, we could change it later if we change our minds. Okay, up next is OP07 Sabo, 8 cost, 9k power. On play, you can trash 1 card from your hand, kill to one of your opponent's 5 costs or less characters, and then another one that's 3 costs or less. So this was mainly ran in Lucci, if I remember, right? OP07 Luffy. I think Perona ran it too, right? Perona and Lucci, who else? Maybe even Sakazuki, I don't remember if he did, or if he was banned by that time. I don't think he was. But yeah, just being able to pop 2 things, I remember this was pretty devastating into a lot of decks because it can KO basically an entire Doflamingo board, right? With your Lucci's leader ability, you -1 cost one of their 4 drops, you pop that with the 3 cost portion, and then you have another pop with the 5 cost or less. This is really good into Zoro too at the time. What were the top decks in OP07? It dealt with Bondi boards pretty well too, especially Gecko Moria boards, right? You could kill a lot with the Sabo here. And yeah, with Gecko Moria gone now, 8 cost Gecko Moria, some people are running Sabo back in. I think a lot of people have dropped it since though, realizing that like Stussy and then Kaido and Jack were better, especially since like Doflamingo got nerfed a bit too, so you don't really need the ability to pop 2 things on a big body. So we'll put him in, maybe A, because he was used extensively when he released, right? In Lucci and Perona in particular, and probably Gecko too, if I remember correctly. Yeah, we'll put him in A. Okay, up next is 10 cost Ace from OP07, 10 cost 10k power. On play, you can add to 1 card from the top of your deck to your life, and then if you have 2 or less life cards after this character gains Rush. So yeah, this deck like turbocharged Enel into the meta, right? Another heal option, and he was also like an attacker, an aggro option, or like a board clearer. What other decks ran it though, besides Enel? Enel's the only one that stood out to me right off the rip. I don't think Katakuri ran it. Queen cannot run it as well because you need Dawn for leader. I think Pudding can run it, but you have 10 cost Mom too, right? So you have to like run 4 10 Moms and then like 2 Aces or something. It's not like the key card in the deck. Kid can run it. Law can also run it. It's mainly just Enel, right? Just Enel. Does Crocodile run it? Potentially, because you could always get Dawn back to become active afterwards. So it's like Croc. I think Kairos runs it too. Kairos, Croc, Enel, Piss Kid, Law, which is nothing to scoff at. Would that put him in S tier though? Right, it did make Enel like top meta for a while. Think so, it's generic enough, right? It's not leader locked or anything. Yeah, I think I have to put him in S, right? So many yellow decks can just run him if they need it as a generic heal. Okay, up next is Rayleigh. Okay, I'm just gonna put him in S. You already know. So what he does, 8 cost 8k power. On play, choose up to 2 of your opponent's characters until the end of your opponent's next turn. Give up to one of them -3k and another one -2k, and then you can pop a 3k after that. That's insane, right? You're debuffing attacks on your opponent's board and then potentially killing something, and making something weaker to you so that you can attack into it to kill it as well. Now, what decks run it? I'll show you. So yeah, basically, it's like Shanks' go-to card. I think it's usable in like Smoker and Dragon too as tech options. Who else can run it? Purple Luffy can run it pretty well because he can ramp while also playing big bodies. Is that it? But Shanks uses it to a really high degree, really well. Odin can use it pretty well too, right? It's a big body, and then Odin doesn't really have removal outside of like attacking into stuff, so it really helps with that. But yeah, Shanks is the top meta deck. This is one of the key cards in that deck, and it's splashable into a bunch of other red decks. So yeah, we'll put Rayleigh in S here. Up next is Kaido and Linlin from the same set, 10 cost 12k power. When attacking, Dawn -10. KO all other characters, then put up to 1 card from the top of your deck to your life, and then trash out to one of your opponent's life cards. So this card, when it was released, or when they were released, did not see much play. What were the OP08 leaders in purple and black? So this was for King, but King never used it. And then it wasn't until like purple black Luffy, where's he at? Here, that you could see some viability in it, because there's like a combo you can do where you play out the 3 cost Black Maria and then the 5 cost Sabo to protect it, and then that means that when you pop your entire board, your board actually stays. Only your opponent's board disappears, and then yeah, your opponent has to eat a 12k and then they lose a life. Oh yeah, and then like most recently, I think there's like a Robin deck that got really popular that played a bunch of 4 cost Hawkins out, because Hawkins on KO makes your opponent trash a life. So you just make them trash like 1 or 2 life from the Hawkins, and then they have to trash a life from the Kaido and Linlin, and then they have to eat the 12k after to go for like an OTK kind of combo. So that's kind of fun, but since it's not like a meta viable card, seems kind of Yamato tier, right? It's like not bad, but just never really saw play. I don't really have anything for D tier, so I might have to delete that. We'll see at the end of things. Okay, up next is Roger. So 10 cost, 13k power, it has Rush, and then if your opponent activates Blocker, and if you or your opponent has 0 life, you just win the game. This is entirely a tech option, but it's used in like a bunch of Rush aggro decks. Namely, it's like a 1 or 2 of in Zoro. You could use it in Odin too. Who else? I think Shanks runs it as a 1 of sometimes, but I think a lot of them are starting to cut it. You can run it in Smoker too. It's not 13k, it's like 15k with Smoker, actually. Who else? Red Purple Luffy probably runs it as tech too. So as a tech card, yeah, put it in A. It's not like your winning strategy, right? It's just something that you could use as an alternate win condition. Up next is 9 cost Luffy, 10k power. On play, you can turn 1 or more of your Dawn cards back to your Dawn deck. You draw a card and this character gains Rush. So this is a key card in the current meta as well. Mainly used in Purple Luffy because you can ram to it on his like 5th turn or 4th turn if you don't want to Dawn minus on your Luffy Taro turn. If you want to just get to 9 ASAP. It's designed for this Luffy because you can return 2 Dawn and get it back. But I think a lot of people are running the Kaido instead. The starter deck Kaido because that can pop a body on top of having Rush. I don't think it's used in Blue Purple Luffy actually. Right, they run like the 9 cost Linlins and then the 9 cost Katakuris, 8 cost Katakuris. The blocker one, I forgot his cost. I can just look it up, but no, I'm not gonna. Red Purple Luffy can run it, but I think, do they run it? No, I think the red stuff in Red Purple Luffy is a lot better for late game. So it's mainly just this Purple Luffy, it seems like. But that Purple Luffy is at the moment like an S tier deck. Would that make this an A tier card? It is generic enough though. Other purple decks can run it. It's just that I don't see it in other purple decks for some odd reason. But yeah, we'll put it in A. I don't know, it's like in the borderline between S and A. Let me think it over again. Yeah, like none of the other purple decks that ramp use it. Not even this Luffy uses it. Or Pudding, who can ramp to it really fast. Yeah. We keep it in A. Okay, up next is OP10, Monkey D. Luffy, 6 cost, 7k power, 1k counter. Once per turn, this character cannot be KO'd by your opponent's effects, and when attacking, you can bottom deck 3 of your discard cards to make your opponent trash a card if they have 5 or more cards in their hand. So this is a very recent card, but I don't see it being played in like any deck. Would that make it a trash tier card though? But it's not bad. It's just so mad. It doesn't do anything the turn that you play it because it doesn't have rush. You have to have Kurita Coliseum to use it, so it's only locked to Dressrosa type leaders if you want it to be effective the turn that you play it. As a sticky body for 6 cost that doesn't have an on play, I don't really like that. This might be D tier, right? That's how I feel about it. It's really meh, but it's not like F tier where it's like unplayable. Like if I drafted this and I had to play it in like sealed, it's not the worst thing. Well, Vivi kinda is, and Uta is? I don't know actually. That shouldn't be my argument for him. I don't know, he just feels like D to me, so I'll put him in D. Okay, so OP10 Law, 7 cost 9k power on play. Reveal a Supernova type character card from your hand and add to the top of your life face down. Then if your leader has a Supernova type, give it to one rested down to your leader. So this is a meta card, but only used in like 2 decks, potentially 3. Right? It's used in Piss Kid and Law, because they're Supernova type leaders. They can get access to that extra Dawn on leader, and they run Supernova cards to heal with anyway. I've started to see people run like just generic Supernova cards in like Enel and stuff just to heal with it. Even Yamato, right? You could run like X-Trix, the 2k counter anyway, and then heal with it. But it's primarily for these 2, and then Green Yellow Law on the fringes of viability. I think there's a lot of Coopers for the deck, but we haven't seen him put any good results in yet. Piss Kid though is like a solid like mid meta deck at the moment. So that means A, because it is like a key card for their deck. And the fact that Kid is meta means that I don't feel right putting it in B, but Lim is in B with Zoro. Actually, maybe B makes more sense. But Lim is 1 leader. This is 2 leaders. Okay, we'll put him in A. That was our initial reaction, so leave him in A. Then we have OP11 cards, so I don't have too much experience with this, but I have played Blue Purple Luffy a bit. So 8 cost 8k power with this blue Luffy here. He has Rush, and then when attacking, you can trash a card from your hand, return up to 1 character card with the cost of 4 or less to your owner's hand, then give it to 1 rested Dawn card to your leader or character. So yeah, this is a Rush option in blue. This is kind of uncharacteristic, and it bounces something when attacking too. So from what I can tell, the only leaders that do run it at the moment are... You can run it in Boa, actually. Boa can utilize the bounce part to draw a card. And then yeah, Blue Purple Luffy runs it really well. You can cheat it out with the Sanji to get like a 9k attacker, and then this 8k rush attacker as well that can like bounce a blocker back to their hand. And then Nami uses them really well too, just because you can get pesky blockers out of the way. If you make your opponent take life, you draw a card, and it puts that Dawn on the Nami leader to make any of your cards into like a 2k counter for the whole turn. Right, so even on curve, you can play out the Luffy and still be protected. But I think that's it. Right, these 3 are the only leaders that I think run it. I guess Queen can run it too pretty well, but we don't see Queen played much anymore. So that means A tier. Seems to make sense for me. It's not make or break in Blue Purple Luffy. It's just one of the many options you can cheat out with Sanji. And it's not even like a 4 of in the deck. Up next is Koby. So 8 cost 9k power on play. Up to 1 of your characters can attack 1 of your opponent's active characters this turn. Then when attacking, you can return 2 cards from your trash to the bottom of your deck in any order. Give it to your leader or up to 1 of your characters plus 1k power to the end of your opponent's next turn. So it makes your leader a 6k, and then you can attack active characters. This was only kind of viable in a Koby deck, right? This is red-black Koby, right? Because a lot of his effects deal with attacking active characters. You kind of need that support. And then there's like a Helmepo card that combos with them. This one here. So 6 cost 7k on play. You can trash 1 card from your hand. You draw a card and play it to 1 sword type character that costs an 8 or less from your trash other than Helmepo. Then at the end of the turn, you bottom deck that card that you played out, right? So you play Helmepo, and then you play out the Koby from your trash. And then this Koby leader makes it so that this 8 cost Koby can attack that turn that you play him. And then this Koby's on play makes it so that you can attack an active character with it. So you can either make your leader a 6k base, or you can make this Koby a 10k to swing into something. But other than that, that's the only deck that he's used in. And then red black Koby at the moment is not a top meta deck at all. So this might be a C tier card, right? Once red black Koby can become meta, maybe he'll become like an A tier card, but it's just due to the fact that the one deck that he's usable in isn't doing too hot. And with that, our secret rare tier list is completed. I'm scanning over it right now. I don't think I want to make any changes, do I? Yeah, we'll leave it at this for now. So let me know what you guys think about this tier list, and then let me know if you guys have any different thoughts. I would love to hear it. Right, that's the goal of these videos, is to have a discussion. I don't want to like outright deny anyone's opinion or have my opinion denied. That's no fun. There's really no like stakes at all in having disagreements on whether secret rares should be in S or A tier or B tier, so don't take it too seriously. And yeah, if you'd like to make your own tier list video or just screenshot your own tier list to share with your friends, you can just check out my deck builder at deckbuilder.cardkaizoku.com. And just out of curiosity, I just want to see how much each secret rare would cost if you bought all of them. So we just add them all to our deck. And then these two aren't released, so I won't add them. So show prices, it is $267 for all the secret rares if you want to buy them all. And whoops, I removed EB02 Luffy. I clicked them by accident, so we just click the TCG player mass entry button here. That'll take you to the mass entry page. Save the entire deck list to your clipboard, Control V, add to cart, and then you can optimize. So right now it's like 55 bucks for shipping. Let's optimize it, see how low we can get it. Okay, 253 for the lowest from any seller. Got shipping down to 7 bucks. That is cheaper than this market price here of 267, so it's a lot better actually. So yeah, if you want to use my deck builder for that purpose, you can. And then all these links, you can click on the individual cards themselves to take you to the product page. They go through my affiliate link, so if you're going to buy these cards anyway and you want to support me that way, you can just click these links to buy the cards, but only if you're going to buy these cards anyway. Don't feel forced to buy cards for my sake. But yeah, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Card Kaizoku.